Welcome to Hypnotic Authenticity. This is a place to reflect, a place to unwind perhaps, to understand yourself a little better, and to gently reshape the patterns that guide your life. A little bit like a conversation between you and your deeper self. So I'm offering a sprinkling of hypnosis, insight, some meditative guidance, and it's all going to be woven throughout a deep sense of practicality. So that if I do my job well, each episode is going to help you feel more grounded, also more open, and more authentically you. So if you're ready, let's begin. I want to get back to first principles. I want to give you an explanation of why on earth it is that I'm doing this, because I kind of feel as though sometimes when I go into the minutiae of detail, the big thrust of the story is getting lost. And what I'm going to do, I want to give you an experience to demonstrate what it is that I'm talking about. So basically, the thrust of the reasoning, why it is that I'm doing this, is that everything that we think we are, everything that we think we're capable of, everything that we think we're good at and bad at, what we define as right and wrong, our strengths, our weaknesses, the whole thing is a story, and we become enchained, imprisoned by these stories by which we hang the hooks of our reality. And it turns out that all of that has been created by a child under the age of 7. Now, would you seriously today choose to hand over the responsibility of your experience to a child under the age of 7? But typically, this is what we're all doing. Why is that? That is because we define ourselves through the experiences of our past. Our brain is constantly, without you even realizing it, predicting its future. It is looking to create a set of experiences which are based around our expectation of what has happened before and therefore is likely to happen again. That's how we create our risk manager. The entire thing, though, is based around a series of staccato events which had an emotional angle to them. There was a firing of some kind of emotional trigger that was followed by a learning, a conclusion by which we came to understand something significant. That got lodged in our brain. We then rinse and repeat that over and over again. We habituate it to the point where we don't even realize it's going on anymore. Just like driving, it was really hard to start with, but then once you've done it a few times, it kind of gets handed over to your subconscious and you forget about it. So the same thing is going on with the definition of what it is to be us. What is our place in the world? What's right, wrong, what we're good at, what we're bad at, what we're capable of, what is just a skill that we don't have. The great news is that this entire thing is changing, that everything is changing. The reason I come out here to film this in this beautiful, beautiful environment is A, because even the rocks are changing, but B, because in itself, it will excite your imagination. And that's what I want, because if all of those experiences were created and then compounded and defined by experiences that were going on typically below the age of 7, they are all potentially fluid, okay? There is a massive opportunity set out there, but we're not seeing it because we've already defined ourselves by the stories by which we're trapped. That's why I blather on about hypnosis, because hypnosis is pretty much the only thing that I've ever come across. In fact, it is the only thing I've come across. Someone I'm sure will disagree with me, but it's the only thing I've come across that allows you to access those subconscious beliefs, to reevaluate them, to look at them and to go, is that serving me today? Okay? This is a fantastic tool. This is why I'm an evangelist for hypnosis. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to demonstrate to you this through an experience. And it's a stupid experience. And I don't know who you are. I don't know where you are. I don't know when you are. I don't know anything about you. Okay? So the proof of that means that you are doing this to you. So obviously, please, it's going to be a trance-like experience. I'm going to invite you into a trance. And so I don't want you to follow my words, to watch the video, listen to my voice whilst driving or whilst operating machinery. Please only continue with this when it is safe and appropriate to do so. It's only going to take a few minutes. And what I encourage you to do is to to really, really go for it, okay? To just dive into my words as if you were sucking the juice out of life, just to see what you get from it, okay? There's no right, there's no wrong. It's just a bit of fun. It's a silly demonstration, but it's got a very, very vital conclusion, which I think it's important for you to experience rather than just hear me talking about. So with that intention in mind, what I would suggest is I don't know if you're sat down or if you're lying down. If you're sat down, put your feet flat on the floor, okay? So you can feel your heel and your toes on the floor. If you're laying down, maybe separate your hands if you're on your lap. Separate your hands, put your hands by each of your sides, and really kind of let your hands go flat on the bed. Feel the texture of the material of the bed. And now what I want you to do, I want you to go out into a little journey with me, a little trance with me. And I want you to think about the person who is most dear to you in this universe. If there's more than one person, think of more than one person. But I want you to really, really enjoy this. It could be a parent, it could be a son, a daughter, it could be a pet. I don't mind who it is, but I want you to really, really dive into the image or the sensation of this person who is most dear to you in the whole world. I want you to see their eyes. I want you to see them smiling. I want you to feel what you're feeling as you hear their voice, hear their laughter. And as you're feeling the love that you have for them, as you're listening to my words, I want you to notice that your entire body is stuck. And when you realize that your entire body is stuck, I want you to try to lift your body. And the harder you try, I want you to realize that the harder it gets stuck. And why is that? This is not hypnosis. This is just the exaggeration of your imagination. It's a little spark followed by a significant suggestion. Now, what I'm going to do in a second, I'll just kind of click my fingers and voila. Obviously, you can lift yourself off the chair, obviously, because anybody can lift themselves off of the chair. But the thing is, when you have an emotional trigger, when there is an emotional spike, which is followed by a suggestion, you take it in. You take it in. You do it all by yourself because you don't know what to do in that circumstance. And the point with all of these experiences in the past, there was an emotional spike followed by a learning. Your parents said something, an authority figure said something, a teacher said something, policeman said something. I don't know. But these things, at a time in your life when you're too young to have agency, when you're too young to have control, you're too young to have choice, you don't have wisdom, you don't have comparison, someone who is an authority figure who seems to know much better than you tells you something at a moment when you are emotionally aroused and you take it in. That then goes on to define your future experience. It goes on to define what it is that you think you need to be taking care of, that you need to be aware of, that your risk manager needs to look after you against, or that gives you the definition of what it is that you would even attempt to do. And suddenly you have a compounding of a series of defining moments which come to make you feel like you. They feel so much like you that they don't even realize anymore. Yeah, you're not even aware. It's not even in your conscious mind. We can see now from the way that people make decisions that their subconscious made it, sometimes a millisecond before, sometimes 5 seconds before, sometimes 10 or 15 seconds before someone becomes consciously aware of their choice. They already made the decision. You can see this on neuroimaging scans. So the point is, what we think of as our free will, what we think of as consciousness, is entirely defined by what our subconscious has come to habituate. And the reason why I'm so evangelical about hypnosis is that it's the only thing I've come across that allows you to re-evaluate that, to say, does this conclusion remain valid? Where did this conclusion come from? Is this even my conclusion? Or did this come from someone else and I've just incorporated it? What am I? What am I capable of? What would it take for me to love myself to the point where I was able to free myself from this constraint? Could I simply imagine a different truth?
Can you imagine the potential for that? So in this moment now, with this understanding that I've explained to you, you can find a new way to heighten your emotional arousal. You go out, you find this stunningly beautiful place, you sit down in nature, you go, oh, the awe of this place. And then you tell yourself an amazing suggestion, an empowering suggestion. And then you do it over and over. And you're moving, you're loosening a rusty hinge by which you came to define your life. The potential is endless. It is endless. Everything is changing, including us. Everything that we think of is a story. And what we're trying to do is to just for a moment see beyond the story and see what it is to be you. Can you feel that? Can you feel that edge, that passion, that opportunity set? We constantly redefine what it is to be our potential. Look at Olympic sports people. They visualize their success in advance because their brain is already encapsulating that expectation. Even just picking up a cup of tea, okay? Can you imagine how difficult it is for us to manhandle, to maneuver every single muscle in our body just to pick up that cup of tea? The reason is because we've already rehearsed it. Our brain has already done it before we reach out and do it. Everything is being looked at from a position of anticipation, of expectation, and then we do it. I had a time when I was a kid where the teacher gave me a very, very precious thermometer, very, very precious thermometer. And she told me, whatever you do, don't drop this because it's made of glass and it'll shatter into 1,000 pieces. What a hypnotic suggestion. The only thing that's in my mind from that point on is this beautiful glass thermometer falling out of my fingers and shattering to the floor. And sure enough, of course, that's what happens. Whatever we focus on, that's where all our energy goes. And what I'm saying is we are focusing on the stories inside our mind, but they're just stories. Habits take about 30 days, but everything takes action. There's no point thinking about it. You must do it. That's why I do all these videos, to get you to go out and take action, to grab the juice of life again, to consider the possibility of adventure, of play, of sheer joy, of unknowing, of the wonderment of life, of the wonderment of friendship, of sharing your love with the world, because you are free as an individual inside of yourself, no matter what goes on around you. Yeah, I think I've evangelized enough. I hope this kind of puts you back on track. This is I think they call it the golden path. This is my route to joy. So I absolutely adore helping people, and I would adore to help you, whoever you are, whoever you are. Now, one of the principles of therapy is that the person already has the therapist inside of them. They already know how to heal themselves. You already know the route to whatever it is that you want to get to. Intellectually, we all know how to get there, but the willpower doesn't beat the gut. The gut is the subconscious. The body is the risk manager. And so what I'm trying to do in this kind of ham-fisted way is to help people realign the gut and the will so that the two are pointing in the same direction like a steam train, and then you can go suck the joy out of life. Does some of that make sense to you? Gosh, I hope so. All right, take care.
Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If it resonates with you, then follow my podcast. I would also personally be really grateful if you might wish to leave a quick rating. It genuinely helps others to discover the podcast. If you personally would like more guided meditations, you want some deeper insights, you'll find all my links in the description. If you prefer a more visual boost, then you might want to check out my YouTube channel called Authentic Life Hypnosis. And if you're looking to do some deeper work that goes beyond one-way audio, then obviously you're very welcome to reach out. Equally, if you have any questions, I'm here to help. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.